Let me talk to you about how to catch sailfish. Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Okay, guys, so I caught my first sailfish on like many years ago down in down in Mexico, actually, off of Cancun on an island called Isla Mujeres. It's an awesome spot. If you've never visited there, I highly recommend it. It is amazing fishing when it comes to like sailfish. There's a migration that happens down there and it's something special. And the way that they treat that fishery down there is I just wish that we could apply some of the things that they apply in their community down there as far as the rules. And it's just an awesome, they really go to all these like extended measures to protect that fishery. So, and one of them, I believe it's still intact, is like no live baiting, and and there's all these rules, so it's a pretty cool experience. But I caught my first sailfish down there. I was on a charter, and we were dredge fishing we had dredges in the water, artificial dredges, holographic strip teaser dredges, and we teased in a sailfish. I saw him, and the captain got him, threw a bait at him because at that time I didn't know what the hell was going on, so I didn't really know much about casting or anything. So we ended up catching that fish, and I have to say it was a brutal experience for my very first one because the hook slid out of his mouth. I got him in the side. I'm stuck in the chair, and I'm like, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" I felt like I was reeling up a big like cement block, but we got the fish up. I had it. It was actually side hooked. And it was, like I said, if you've ever hooked the sailfish in the side, it's brutal. It's kind of like I've hooked them in the tail before, and oh, it was just painful. But anyway, so we did get the fish in, and we managed to revive it, and we did release it. So awesome experience that I believe everyone should experience catching a sailfish or 10 in their lifetime or more. So I want to talk to you about how I catch sailfish down here in the Florida Keys. Okay, and you can apply what I teach here in this podcast and what I teach in any of my courses anywhere in the world. Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit about it. So I catch a lot of sailfish, and I actually like without even trying. So a few weeks ago in October, we were out there wahoo fishing, and we caught a few. We caught them on trolling plugs, and we caught a few on sea witches and dead ballyhoo. Just an awesome fish to fight. Awesome. So I catch a lot of them without even trying. So, but if I'm going to backstep it here to when I first started in the charter boat fishing industry down here. So many of you know my story where I was an avid yellowtail fisherman. I took things step by step, okay, learning every aspect about the fishery. And as I was yellowtail fishing, I fished off an area called Little Conch Reef down here, one of the absolute best reefs to fish in the Florida Keys. There to the conch wall here at Conch Reef. But I like to fish off a little conch, just a great little spot. Not many people were there. I found a zone that, wasn't fished very much, and I worked it for several years, actually. So what would happen is I would go there in the fall this time of year, and I would chum in the big yellowtails, and with that, all the schools of ballyhoo, like it was just ferocious of ballyhoo in there. Then all of a sudden, I would have 5 or 6 sport boats, center consoles constantly coming in on top of me and casting into my schools of bait and catching sailfish all around me. So they waited for me to go in there. They waited for the yellowtail fishermen to get in there, and I would set up in 100 feet, and then these guys would come in and start fishing around me in 120 and then fly their kites. I got videos of guys flying their kites almost into my boat during fishing tournaments in the fall as I was yellowtail fishing. So I still have those videos, and someday I may release them. It's pretty interesting about the captains that did that. But anyhow, so I'm moving on. I moved on from that. I released it because my clients always ask who these people are, and because there's a social media presence now. I'm just going to shift a little bit. I had something happen to me out there on the water the other day where a guy cut me off. And I told them is like, and I like let it go. It's like I just whatever if you're going to do that kind of stuff. So I tell people, hey, if somebody comes in and then they're asking me who they are, and I was like, I'm not afraid to tell them. I'll show them here they are on Instagram. This is what their social media channel is, and this is the person. So it's like, well, that's not who they portray themselves to be. I go, there you go. End of story. Okay, so here we go. I'm out there fishing, and the guys would come in. I would have all the ballyhoo behind my boat, and I was like, "Oh, they're catching sailfish all around me." So you got to think that I am new to the charter boat fishing industry, and it's just is what it is. So then the next season, I come back, and I'm like, "Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue chumming because my clients like to yellowtail fish, and they like to." Catch groupers. And then once in a while, I'll get somebody to say, hey, I want to catch some sailfish. So I'm like, okay, well, here's one of the easiest ways we can go do this while maintaining the action. We're not hunting them, especially in the month of November. We'll go out there, we'll set up, we'll chum. Outgoing tide, I feel, is always a very good tide to fish for sailfish. So, and then at the start of the incoming as well. In the evenings, the sailfish like to plow up against those reef lines in the evening and eat on the ballyhoo and stuff because the light's really low. So I'll set up there, I'll get all the chum moving, and then I'll chum in. Like I'm chumming with like 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds of chum, and I'll get all those ballyhoo behind my boat. And then what I'll do is you just sit and you just wait. Because what happens is you've created a live chumming scenario behind your boat. Okay. You've got all those ballyhoo in there, and those guys were just waiting for me, and they wait for you to go out there and yellowtail fish, and then they know all those ballyhoo will come in, the sailfish will come in and start plowing, and then they'll set up on the outsides of you, and they'll start catching the sailfish. Well, you can do it too, okay? So which I did. You can do it on anchor, but now have a trolling motor. I went back to trolling motor. So now when I sit and do that, I can chum in all my ballyhoo and get a live chum scenario set up. And then I just wait for the sails to show up. They'll come to you, and then you put about a dozen in your live well. The best way to keep I feel is to use it's to use like a stand-up live well pipe in there. You don't want too much flow, too little, too much, because ballyhoo are very sensitive, and you don't want to overfill your well. Okay, so you only need, like, for myself, I'm not looking to rack up big numbers of sailfish. Okay, so what I like to do is, I'll put like maybe a dozen baits in my well because I have a small well, and I have a portable one that I'll use maybe if I, and I put that in during wahoo season when I'm like using speedos and goggle eyes for wahoo live bait season. That's something I'll talk about in the future. But anyhow, so I'll just go ahead and put like a dozen. I just catch a few of those ballyhoo, and I throw them in my live well, and then I just wait, and I just wait. Okay, I just wait for them to show up. And also too, I just put I go back to old school. I just start free lining. I'll cast out the ballyhoo, and I like to hook them right through the down back, more towards the anus, so the fish will swim on the surface and swim out. And then just give them the free line. 30-pound fluorocarbon to 35-pound fluorocarbon down to 20-pound fluorocarbon is what I use. And you catch sailfish while you're sitting there anchor fishing. You'll see the frigate birds, you'll notice them, and you'll see all of a sudden you'll see the bait start going crazy back there. The ballyhoo will be splashing. Then you have a guy just, and I like to let my clients catch the fish. That's another reason why I don't like sight fish for sailfish, because really the mate catches the fish and they're having all the fun while you're sitting in the chair. And I don't want to, like, I'm like, it's for myself. That's not the type of charter that I want to happen. I want the client to make the cast. I want them to have the fun. I don't want to have to when I have to hand a rod to the client, I feel really bad about it. So I want them to be able to do it and make the cast. And it's hard when you're running and gunning sailfish and sight fishing, you got to be really good. And that's why, most of those guys have two mates now, and they'll do it. And the captain, and then you're just sitting and the guy to reel it in. They don't even a lot of guys just cut the leaders off, and I don't believe in doing that. I bring the sailfish to the boat. I try to get the hook out of his mouth and release it. Okay. So that's just a good thing to do for the fish. And I don't want a bunch of line dangling off some fish's mouth anymore. So you got to start somewhere. And there's a lot of people like fishing. Now, that's just me. How everybody else does it, I don't care. That's just, how I'm wired. Okay, when it comes to sailfish, it's a very special fish. I try to treat it. It's just, people look at it different ways. For myself, I treat it very special. When I looked in that sailfish's eyes on my first time I caught it, it did something to me. So that one fish did. And I do my best not to try to like kill that fish or anything. So if you're looking to kill a sailfish, do not book with me. Go book with somebody else. Okay. So here we go. So let's get into another little tip. So you've got your stand-up live well pipe. Just do the research on that. You got to figure out the flow. Don't overfill your well. Stop at the patches, catch some. If you're going to go out there, if you can't get any value, but the easiest way to do it, honestly, is to set up and chum. Okay. So where do you go catch sailfish? Okay, down here in the Keys, it's the areas where the yellowtail fishing happens. Okay, so I'm going to pull up I'll pull up something a little bit of a tool for you guys to use, and I'll kind of give you a little preview of something that I may talk about here in the future. But let's get into it here a little bit. So I'm going to pull up my share screen here, and I'm going to kind of show you guys some zones. And like I said, the fish move up and down the reef, north to south. They could be one location in the morning. They could be at Molasses. Then they could be up at French. Then they could be up at the Elbow. It just depends on where the bait's at. Okay, that's it. Where the bait's at. So, and I do feel that ballyhoo this time of year is the best bait. But you're flying kites, you want big pilchards, that kind of stuff. But the trick is down here is slow trolling baits and putting a couple dredges. I believe in putting two dredges out, big dredges, get their attention. So I'm gonna pull up here we go. So pull up my chart here, my Navionics. So here we're here at so areas where the yellowtail fishing happens. I like to say that's the easiest areas to like start when you're looking to catch sails. So Conch Reef is like one of the used to be. I haven't seen many there yet, but Conch Reef is like one of the highly fished spots for wahoo, sailfish, and all that good stuff down here. So in Conch, you're fishing. You're looking at areas that are right along the wall down here. You've got and then you can see where the sand is. They're like 120. You can see the key is. So if you're down there, you can set up along this rocky edge here, do some chumming and anchor like right now in the outgoing tides, at the end of the tides, the start of the incoming, whatever in the evening, and then try to get all those value in there while you're catching groupers, while you're catching snappers, and then you kind of move down the alligator down there or Davis. They'll be down there along these edges. So you just kind of cruise through here. But this time of year, I feel that for myself, like Little Conch is like, I'll sit there. It's one areas that I like to catch yellowtail fish and stuff. Then I'll come down, and then you'll go down to the Pickles Reef, right out in front of Pickles. They'll be in also too. The fish will chase in there on the sand. But Pickles is a really good area, the yellowtail fish, and you'll see them in there, and then all the way down to Molasses and French. But that 100 foot to 120 zone seems to be the zone, your same zone that all your yellowtail. You get the blueback ballyhoo in there, and then as far as you can slow troll with your outriggers, long, shorts, and all that other good stuff. But really, one of the absolute best ways to catch these fish in the Keys is honestly is just to if you're not into sail fishing like hardcore sail fishing, then I would say that you're uh, I would say that the best way to do it, to be honest with you, is to go ahead and just like anchor up and chum in like 100 feet of water in the prime yellowtail spots. Try to get all those ballyhoo behind your boat and keep them there. And then what you can do is you can have an anchor. If you have an anchor set up like tarpon where you can throw the anchor ball off and then go chase your sailfish, you can do that. Or you can just fight them from a dead boat, which is a lot of fun. So you can use this, just use a spinning reel loaded with 20-pound to 30-pound braid, top shot it off with a good, 15 to 20 foot of fluorocarbon leader, 30-pound. I like 30-pound for sales. Yeah, you break off a few, but it is what it is. So I'm not looking for numbers with those fish. So And then yeah, that's in my opinion, that's how I do it. Like when I'm like looking to catch a mixed bag of stuff, if I'm on a half day or something, I'm like, yeah, let's see if we can't sneak in a sailfish or two, and then you know, or you go and you catch a few, like a dozen ballyhoo, then you pop them into your outriggers and you just slow down and troll with do your best the set up and troll and with live bait. So I talk in depth about how I do this stuff in the Good Karma Fishing Club, okay? And the Good Karma Fishing Club is for guys that are wanting to shave years off the learning curve and just learn how to do it. And that's really all I'm going to say about that club. Okay. So if you're interested in joining the club, you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com for the specifics about it. So, okay. And then also too, I have the Good Karma rigging crew. And in that, as far as the rigging crew, I go through like I'll go through this fall, we'll go through leaders for sailfish and just how to rig for sailfish. Okay, it's specifically about rigging in that group. So if you're interested in joining that group, you can go to goodkarmafishingtackle.com and you can see you can see where you can sign up for that as well. So that's all I got, guys. If you are wanting to come down and go do a little bit of wahoo fishing, mutton snapper fishing, grouper fishing, maybe some yellowtail fishing, and then on windy days is patch reefs, mangroves, muttons, and all those other fish in between. You can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. That's all I got. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.